We've had a question come in about what I think about everything that the Russians and the Chinese are doing in Africa specifically. And it kind of falls into three general categories. Let's start with the Chinese. First, we've got the old stuff, the one belt, one road stuff, where the Chinese basically came in and said, we'll build this piece of infrastructure or a building or whatever it is for you. And it's free, and we just ask you to be our friends. Well, a few years later, the Chinese came back. It's like, oh, when we said free, what we really meant is this is a loan and you have to start paying us back right now. And they were laughed out of the room in a lot of places. So a lot of these projects were things that the locals didn't need or can't operate themselves. And once the Chinese actually started demanding payment, a lot of this stuff just fell into disrepair. So I'm not concerned about that. There's a couple exceptions here and there, but only a couple. How much did the Chinese waste on this? I don't have a specific number for Africa alone, but on a global basis, we're talking easily north of $1 trillion US. It's not the dumbest thing we've seen the Chinese government do, but it's certainly one of the things the Chinese government has done that is really, really dumb that the rest of the world has gotten all up in arms about.
China's ambitious African gamble, once touted as a bold strategy to extend global influence, has spiraled into a monumental failure. What was envisioned as a transformative initiative designed to forge powerful economic ties and establish China as a dominant global player has instead become a trillion-dollar lesson in hubris. How did Beijing get it so wrong? Peter Zeihan, a leading geopolitical analyst, traces the miscalculations behind China's flagship project, the One Belt, One Road initiative in Africa. What was promised as a panacea of free infrastructure turned into a crushing burden of unpayable loans. Many of these projects have been abandoned or left useless, exposing the limitations of China's geopolitical overreach and straining its relationships on the global stage. China's economic ascent has long been a tale of resilience and scale. Its massive growth powered the global economy, particularly in times of crisis. But as we pivot to examining current global economic challenges, it's clear that the forces shaping today's financial landscape are deeply interconnected. One of the most striking examples of this is China's looming economic dilemma: deflation. This threat is not just a domestic issue, it holds the potential to reshape China's future and reverberate across the global economy. For over a decade, China's rapid expansion fueled global growth. The nation's ambitious infrastructure projects, booming property market, and rising consumer base made it an economic juggernaut. From 2014 to 2024, China contributed a staggering 31% to global economic growth, far outpacing major players like India, 16%, and the United States, 9%. However, the narrative of unstoppable growth has been replaced by a troubling new trend: deflation. Deflation, characterized by a persistent decline in the general price level of goods and services, contrasts sharply with the inflationary pressures gripping much of the world. While global economies struggled with surging prices after the pandemic, China's inflation rate steadily dropped, and by November 2024, it had fallen to just 0.2%, with months of outright deflation. While lower prices might seem like a boon for consumers, deflation triggers deep economic challenges. As businesses and households anticipate even lower prices ahead, they delay spending, which stifles consumption and investment, creating a vicious cycle of economic stagnation. Japan's experience serves as a stark warning. Once a vibrant economy rivaling the US, Japan has been mired in decades of deflation, which has stunted growth, stagnated wages, and cultivated a low-spending culture. Despite aggressive monetary and fiscal efforts, Japan has yet to escape the grip of deflation, leading to one of the highest national debt levels in the world. China now faces similar risks. With its rising debt-to-GDP ratio driven by extensive borrowing for infrastructure and real estate, Beijing is grappling with the economic fallout of its own policy missteps. A key driver of China's deflationary pressures is weak domestic demand. Post-COVID, consumer confidence has failed to recover, and both households and businesses are prioritizing savings over spending. This behavior is closely tied to China's ongoing property crisis, which has undermined a significant pillar of its economic growth. High-profile developers like Evergrande have faced liquidity crises, and residential property prices have plummeted to their lowest levels since 2015. This downturn has sparked a chain reaction. Developers halt projects, layoffs increase, homeowners cut back on spending, and local governments, heavily reliant on land sales for revenue, are also feeling the strain, further dampening economic activity. Another troubling indicator is the Producer Price Index, PPI, which tracks the average change in selling prices received by domestic producers. The PPI has been in decline, pointing to weak demand and oversupply in many sectors. As producers earn less for their goods, they're less inclined to invest, hire, or expand. In response, China has rolled out several measures to combat deflation. A $1.4 trillion stimulus package launched in 2024 aims to help local governments manage mounting debt, while monetary authorities have lowered interest rates to stimulate borrowing. President Xi Jinping has pledged to increase fiscal spending to support growth, but policymakers are also wary of the long-term inefficiencies of the strategies that have fueled China's growth in the past, namely its reliance on infrastructure and the property market. Now, the government is pivoting toward advanced technologies and innovation as the new engines of growth. However, the moderate nature of these stimulus efforts has left many investors uncertain about the country's near-term outlook. China's economic health is of vital importance to the global economy. As the world's second-largest economy and a major trading partner for many countries, the effects of prolonged deflation in China could be far-reaching. Declining prices for Chinese goods could lead to trade imbalances, while weaker domestic demand might hurt exporters dependent on the Chinese market. Moreover, China's struggles underscore the complexity and uneven nature of the global economic recovery post-pandemic. As central banks worldwide wrestle with inflation, China's deflationary pressures highlight the broader challenges of adjusting to a new economic order. This is not just China's problem, it's a global concern. The world will be closely watching how Beijing navigates this economic turbulence, as its success or failure will undoubtedly have ripple effects across the globe. The road ahead is uncertain, but it is clear that the stakes are incredibly high. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, share, and comment with your thoughts. Your support helps us continue to bring you in-depth analyses on global economic trends. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.